and welcome back to Mind Over Matter. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are diving into a topic that is close to the hearts of so many families, supporting parents who have autistic young adults at home. Now, this stage of life can be filled with uncertainty, challenges, and growth, but it can also be a time of transformation and opportunity with families if they have the right guidance and community. And joining me in this conversation today is someone who understands this journey, listeners, inside and out. April Ratchford. Now, let me share a bit about April with all of you. She's an occupational therapist, autism advocate, and mother of an autistic son. And through her podcast, writing, and also professional work, she is helping to bridge the critical gap in resources for autistic individuals as they transition into adulthood. And I'm so excited, listeners, for this conversation because I know it will bring not only valuable insights, but also hope for so many families listening today and out there. So, April, welcome to the show. And as always, it is an honor to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, April, before we converse on the topic, if you can start by sharing your personal journey of raising an autistic son and how that experience has shaped your advocacy work.
Um, I'm gonna say, just like most parents, it's been a roller coaster. It's difficult, especially once they transition out of high school, because you think that once they hit that age of 18 and you think early intervention has taken place, that it'll fit together and they'll be fine, and it's not. And we drop the ball as therapists, teachers, social workers, that we forget that autism doesn't end at 18, and there's that other part of life for parents and their families and for them that need to go on. So now, um, I'm trying to bridge that gap, that they need that help with independence. And just like we promised them when they were younger that they can do what they want to do, we just need to give them that extra support and help as they transition into young adults.
Mm, yeah, I mean, that may seem daunting, but it's definitely a journey of learning, of you know giving that opportunity, giving that same opportunity at the same level to autistic kids as well, not just till 18 as you mentioned, but for the entire life. Also, if you can share also, April, what adjustments as a parent uh, you had to make, when during that transition from childhood to adulthood.
Um, Realizing that he is an adult. I
Mm,
can no longer talk to him as a child, and that's hard for a parent,
mm,
especially when we've been caregivers their entire childhood. So now it's transitioning as we're more now consultants versus being that total caregiver role, depending on the level of um, your child, whether they're a level one, level two, or level three. So you just have to gauge where they're at and meet them where they're at and be realistic about where they're at. And it's a challenge, and it's still a challenge as they get older because their experiences are going to be different because now you're throwing different things into the mix like dating, money, living on their own, education.
that is totally right. I couldn't agree more with you, April. And also, let's have a little bit of understanding of the current scenario. So, since you are an occupational therapist as well, what kind of uh, common challenges you see families face when their autistic young adult graduates from high school?
A lot of the time, they're not completely independent and parents panic because when they decide what they're gonna do at the next level, if they decide they wanna go into higher education, that is almost completely independent. They all have to get up on their own schedule, be on their, um it's almost being their own advocate, learning how to problem solve on their own. Can they do that? And parents are having to realize, can my son or daughter do that on their own? Or do they need autism specific supports in place? And are there institutions out there? Or do they need transition programs where they need to learn independent living skills instead before they go on, or do they need a vocational program and that's more their, bag of tricks? So these are things that parents have to kind of figure out,
Mm.
and it's it should be taught way back, I'd say, before they even end like high school. It should be taught just like their peers, neurotypical peers, when we are starting to prime them for, the latter stages of high school, we prime everybody, "Hey, are you going to college? Are you gonna go to vocational school?" Same thing.
Mm.
We should be priming parents and their autistic children, "Hey, do you think they need a transition program? Do you think they need this or that?" But by the time we get them into the end, it's a a toss-up and it's a panic.
Mm. Mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Also, in the beginning, you mentioned, you have highlighted how the support often drops off after high school. So let's talk about the resources, or maybe the lack thereof. What biggest gaps you see, especially in terms of the resource availability or about the support available to them, and how can parents navigate through all this?
Um, it's a common, like, myth that parents can receive services like
Mm.
speech therapy after 18, because what parents think is, "Oh, my kid is speaking. Why why do they need speech therapy?" Well, speech therapy can also benefit them in higher learning, helping them to organize, helping them to construct papers, helping them in social skills. Occupational therapy can help them in independent learning skills, finance skills, things of that nature. Even in um, physical therapy, helping them with their balance, their strengthening, because if they are on a college campus and some of our kiddos, we all know parents, they're gamers. And most of them like to spend that time just sitting. They're going to need that physical strength to be able to walk those distances with those
Mhm.
books. So they can receive those um, therapy services and they would be beneficial. They also can receive, if their OTs are trained in it, maybe they want to learn how to drive. OTs can teach them how to do driving skills. And those are special OTs that can teach them how to drive before they go to those driving tests. And those are through the vocational programs. So you can get those services. And between, I think, 18 and 21, if they have like Medicare, Medicaid services, you can get those services. Um, I would suggest parents fight for those services because they can be beneficial.
True, true. True. And I have had a conversation with one of my guests. We were discussing about, in fact, sensory friendly events, public events or conferences, where there are arrangements made, and they can really, really help people with autism, PTSD, hearing loss, and other conditions as well. So I think the awareness about the availability of these resources has to be created and strengthened at the grassroots level for the parents as well.
Absolutely.
Wow. Also, from listeners perspective, another, I think it could be controversial, but uh, it is the push for total independence versus supported independence. So, April, how do you think parents can distinguish between encouraging growth and also accepting when more long term support is necessary?
Now that's a hard one because you're really gonna have to know your child and really meet them where they are
Mm.
because you're gonna have to know, can they follow a schedule and a routine without you prompting them? Because these are the things you're gonna have to worry about, like, as you grow older as a parent. Will they be able to take care of you and them in the future? Because that's the thing parents don't think about, and we hate to think about, but it's something that is gonna be a realization. Is Are they gonna be able to handle these things like our funeral? Um, do we need to leave them trust? Are they gonna be able to make these plans? And we gotta remember too that it's not until the age of 25 until the human brain is fully developed. So you gotta give them some grace for that. And we know the executive functioning for our kiddos are gonna be a little bit more behind than neurotypical kids. So don't count them out just yet. It might be a little bit later before you really figure out, hey, can they live independently?
Mm.
You'll see it. You'll see changes. It might be slower and it won't be as quick as you think. But just know too, as well, their neurotypical peers are just having as much difficulty as well. But you should know something by the time they hit 25. If you're like, we're gonna have to really think about this, but always make a backup plan. Just make sure if you think, I don't think they're gonna be able to live on their own, just have something to fall back on. Always have something to fall back on.
That's a very, very important point you made, April. I think what I feel this should be taken as one of the uh, most crucial takeaways from this conversation. Also, before we wrap up, what changes or innovations do you hope to see in how society supports autistic individuals and their families as they, all of, including the child and their parents, they transition into adulthood?
Um, it's my hope that there's more funding that's
Mhm.
not federal, that there's more supports that families can get for like housing, for coaching, for mentorship, for, transition programs that families can have more options, that they can have trust and estates established, that they don't have to worry about these things and they can have the help that they need, that there's more community programs that their kids can have fun and feel like they have friends that they can communicate with and have a big community with, because as they grow older, you know, they feel more isolated because some of them might not be in college or programs, and so here they are living with their parents, and they don't really have friends. They're online all the time, and it's very isolating not to be able to talk to somebody about, "Hey, I live with my mom and dad, and I have autism, and I can't really, you know, find my footing."
Mm, mhm. I think that is also a very, very and empowering vision that you have, April, and I believe all of our listeners will also agree with you uh, for the same. Also, if our listeners they would want to connect with you, listen to your podcast as well, and they would like to contribute to your efforts, how they can do that.
I have a link tree that has all my socials, and if they have, um, young adults with autism that want to create a community, I have a Discord just for that. My son and his friend have created that Discord specifically so everybody can be a part of a community that is just for them. So, and both of them are autistic, and you have a voice on Discord. And we're having a giveaway. So, 1,000th person gets free merch and a $100 Visa gift card. So,
Yeah, lovely. Well, we have all the details mentioned in the show notes along with the link. And April, thank you so much for being here today, sharing your wisdom, your journey, your passion, and your vision as well. And I believe it's very much clear from this conversation that families navigating this path, they need both practical as well as practical support and emotional encouragement. And I think you bring both of them so beautifully. So thank you so much.
thank you.
And to all of our listeners, we encourage you to connect with April through her podcast, Adulting with Autism, where you can dive deeper into these conversations, and you can also refer to the Discord link. We'll have all the details in the show notes. And I would like to reiterate that you are not alone in this journey, and seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. So, thank you to everyone for tuning into Mind Over Matter. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself and others as well.